the sixth chapter of our book. So, the sixth chapter is self esteem. A beggar was sitting at a train station with a bowl full of pencils. A young executive passed by, dropped $1 into the bowl, but didn't take any pencils. He then boarded the train. Just before the doors were to close, the executive suddenly exited the train and went back to the beggar. He grabbed a bunch of pencils and said, "I will take some pencils. They are priced right. After all, you are a business person, so am I." And he dashed back onto the train. 6 months later, the executive attended a party. The beggar was also there, dressed in a suit and tie. The beggar recognized the executive, went up to him, and said, "You probably don't recognize me, but I remember you." He then narrated the incident that had happened 6 months before. The executive said, "Now that you remind me, I do recall that you were begging. What are you doing here in a suit and tie?" The beggar replied, "You probably don't know what you did for me that day. Instead of giving me charity, you treated me with dignity. You grabbed a bunch of pencils and said, 'They are priced right. After all, you are a business person, so am I.' After you left, I thought to myself, what am I doing? Constructive with my What am I doing here? What am I begging? I decided to do something constructive with my life. I packed my bag, started working here. I am. I just want to thank you for giving me back my dignity. The incident changed my life." What changed in the beggar's life? What chance was that his self esteem went up, so did his performance. This is the magic of self esteem in our lives. Simply, self esteem is how we feel about ourselves. Our opinion of themselves critically influences everything, from our performance at work, our relationships, and our role as parents, to our accomplishments in life. Self esteem is a major component of in determining success or failure. High self esteem leads to a happy, gratifying, and purposeful life. Unless you perceive yourself as worthwhile, you cannot have light self esteem. Self esteem gives you internal drive. All great world leaders and teachers throughout history have concluded the one must be internally driven in order to be a success. And they respond to us accordingly. People with high self esteem grow in conviction, competence, and willingness to accept responsibility. They face life with optimism, have better relationships, and more fulfilling lives. They are motivated and ambitious. They are more sensitive. Their performance and risk taking ability go up. They are open to new opportunities and challenges. They can give and receive criticism and compliments tactfully and with ease. Self esteem is a feeling that comes from the awareness of what is good of having it done it. Self esteem is our self concept. Low self esteem. How to recognize poor self esteem? What are the behavior patterns of a person with poor self esteem? The following is a brief list that is not all inclusive but indicative. They are generally gossip mongers. They have a critical nature. They criticize as if there is a contest going on to see who can criticize the most. They are concerned about egos. They are arrogant and pretend they know it all. People with low self esteem are generally difficult to work with and work for. They tear down others to get a feeling and superiority. They are close minded and self centered. They constantly make excuses, always justifying failures. They never accept responsibility, always blaming others. They have a fatalistic attitude. They have no initiative and always wait for things to happen. They are jealous by nature. They are unwilling to accept positive criticism. They become defensive. They are bored and uncomfortable when alone. Poor self esteem leads to a breakdown in decency. People with low self esteem don't know where to draw the line, where decency stops, vulgarity starts. It is not unusual for people to tell jokes at social get together, but with average drinks, the jokes get dirtier and dirtier. They don't have genuine friends because they are not genuine themselves. They make promises they know they are not going to keep. A person with low self-esteem would promise the moon to make a self. Promises not kept lead to low credibility. Their behavior is senseless and erratic. They swing from one end of the pendulum to another. They may be all sugar and honey today, but the same people may be out to cut your throat tomorrow. They lack balance. They are alienate people and tend to be lonely. They are touchy by nature. This is called the fragile ego. Anytime something is said, a person with a fragile ego takes it personally and gets hurt. It leads to dejection. What is the difference between being touchy and being sensitive? Touchiness is the cactus approach. Touch me and I will hurt you. Being sensitive is the positive approach, the caring approach. Many times, the two are used intangibly. People say, be careful when talking to do so and so. He or she is very sensitive. What they are really saying is that the person is touchy, so be careful. They have negative expectations of themselves and others and rare seldom disappointed in those expectations. They lack confidence. They constantly seek approval and validation from others. Seeking approval is different from seeking a second opinion, which really means consultation. They brag about themselves, a sign of lack of confidence. They exhibit submissive or timid behavior. These are the people who constantly apologize for their existence. They are always putting themselves down, which is different from being humble. Humility comes from confidence, whereas putting yourself down comes from lack of it. A person who lacks confidence cannot be an effective leader. Others sense this lack of confidence, which results in a lack of respect. The lack assertiveness, people with low self-esteem are not willing to stand up for their beliefs. On the other hand, being unduly aggressive is also a sign of poor self-esteem. Being aggressive in situations that require compassion does not amount to assertiveness. Their lack of confidence results in conformist behavior. The thinking is, if everybody is doing it, then I should too. Every day, we see people giving in to peer pressure, knowing full well what they are doing could be detrimental to themselves or others. Yet, they do it to be accepted. People with low self esteem go along to get along. They are looking for outside validation because they lack confidence in themselves. They try to keep up with Johnson's when people buy houses, cars, and other possessions and participate in activities to impress others. They often spend money they haven't earned and buy things they don't need or like. All of this is an attempt to impress others whom they don't necessarily like or admire. They exhibit nonconformist or non attendance seeker behavior. In order to gain attention, people with poor self esteem might do senseless things just to stand out and be noticed. They get a kick and a sense of importance from perversion. Some people choose to do wrong and be wrong just to be different to gain attention. Examples are people who brag excessively, the classroom clown people who dress flamboyantly, and so forth. They are insensitive and do not accept responsibility, lack of courage, and fear of criticism lead to intensive behavior. Libel against authority. I make a distinction between rebelling out of the courage of one's conviction and rebelling because of poor self esteem. All the great world leaders such as Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and Abraham Lincoln were rebels. They rebel against authority out of the courage of their convictions. A person with low self esteem rebels against authority just because it is authority, even when the authority is right. They are antisocial and may be withdrawn. They lack a sense of direction and have an I don't care attitude that is reflected in their behavior. They have a hard time to giving or receiving compliments. In giving they feel they might be misconstructed and receiving they feel they are undeserving. Feeling unworthy is not humility. They place too much emphasis on material things. People with low poor self-esteem judge your worth by your possessions, not by who you are. They look at what kind of car you drive, what kind of home you live in, and what kind of clothes and jewelry you wear. They forgot that people make things and not vice versa. People with poor self esteem place more emphasis on net worth than self worth. The life revolves around acts and facts. Designer labels are their status symbols. Take away four positions and they will die of shame. They get into a red race. As Lily Tomlin said, the people with the red race is that even if you win, you are still a rat. They show a lack of pride in themselves. They are uncouth. They are takers, not givers. Low self-esteem could lead to extreme of behavior. A person with high self-esteem could choose identical behavior for different reasons. He may be alone because he prefers solitude, whereas a person with low self-esteem prefers to be alone because he is uncomfortable in groups. Here are some comparison characteristics of people with high and low self-esteem. High self-esteem talk about ideas, low self-esteem people talk about people. High self-esteem people caring attitude, low self-esteem people critical attitude. Humility, arrogance, respect authority, rebels against authority, and etc. The objective of his list is to provide on the basis for self evaluation, not to produce guilt. It is not necessary to have all the high self esteem traits. Some characteristics may be present to greater or lesser degree. So long as we are able to recognize our goals, we can make an effort to improve ourselves. Why put on a mask? A young executive with poor self esteem was promoted, but he couldn't recognize himself, so his new office and position. There was a knock at his door. To show how important and busy he was, he picked up the phone and then asked the visitor to come in. As the man waited for the executive, no executive kept talking on the phone, nodding and saying, "No problem, I can handle that." After a few minutes, he hung up and asked the visitor what he could do for him. The man replied, "Sir, I'm here to connect your phone." "What is the message?" "Why pretend? What are we trying to prove? What do we want to accomplish? Why do we need to lie? Why look for feelings of false importance?" All of these types of behavior come for insecurity and poor self esteem. Why pretend? Our character can be judged by everything we do or don't do, like or don't like. Our character is revealed by the kind of company we keep or avoid, how we treat others, especially our subordinates, the elderly, and the disabled. Our choice of books, music, and movies, the kind of jokes we tell or laugh at. Every action of ours give us away anyway, so why pretend? I believe that if a person lives with conviction, sensitivity, and cooperation, he can move others with his effort. That person becomes worthy of self-respect. Self-esteem is the way we feel about ourselves. Self-image is the way we see ourselves. When we feel good, the world looks nice, productivity goes up, and relationships are a lot better. The reverse is just as true. High self-esteem does not mean having a big ego. Unless a person is at peace with himself, he cannot be at peace with others. Just as we cannot give to others what we don't have, unless we possess an component of self esteem, we cannot share it with others. We need to first evaluate ourselves honestly and put ourselves in order. Even in an aircraft, the safety instructions tell you to put your oxygen mask first before you helping your child. This is not selfishness. You need to be strong physically to help others physically, and you need to be strong emotionally before you can give to others emotionally. Causes of low self esteem. We start forming our self esteem, positive or negative, from the day we are born. We develop feelings about ourselves that are reinforced by others. Negative self talk or negative auto suggestions. Negative self talk is when we say to ourselves, consciously or unconsciously, statements such as, "I have a poor memory," "I'm not good at math," "I'm not an athlete," "I am tired." Such statements only reinforce the negative and put us down. Very soon, our minds start believing these statements and our behavior changes accordingly. They become self fulfilling prophecies. Environment. Home. The greatest gift a parent can give his children are roots. The best part of a family tree is their roots. Noticing a little girl's courteous and polite behavior, the teacher asked, "Who taught you to be so courteous and polite?" The girl replied, "No one. It just runs in our family. Upbringing. Fellow criticism Fellow citizen, why do you turn and scrape every stone to gather wealth and take so little care of your children, to whom one day you must relinquish it all? In order for our children to turn out well, we need to spend twice the time and half the money. It is less painful to learn in youth than be ignorant as adults. Parents with high self esteem breed confidence and high self esteem in their children by giving them positive concepts, beliefs, and values. The reverse is also true. It is a great heritage to have honest parents, parents who participate in crooked business deals, unfortunately, set bad examples for their future generations. A strong role model or mentor could be a parent, relative, or teacher who is held in high regard during their formative years. Children look up to others in positions of influence. Even as adults, we look to our supervisors and managers as role models. Little eyes upon you. There are little eyes upon you, and they are watching night and day. They are little ears that quickly take in every word you say. There is a little hand all eager to do anything you do, and a little boy who's dreaming of the day he will be like you. You are the little fellow's idol. You are the wisest of the wise. In his little mind about you, no suspicions ever rise. He believes in you devoutly, holds all that you say and do. He will say and do in your way when he is grown up like you. There a wide-eyed little fellow who believes you are always right, and his eyes are always open, and he watches day and night. You are setting an example every day in all you do for the little boy who's waiting to grow up to be like you. What makes a child delinquent? Teach him to put a price tag on everything and he will put his integrity for sale. Teach him never to take a stand and then he will fall for anything. Make him believe that winning is not everything. That is the only thing that he will make every effort to win by hook or by crook. Give a child everything he wants right from infancy, and he will grow up believing that the people world owns him a living and everything will be handed to him on a platter. When he picks up a bad language, laugh at him. This will make him think he is cute. Don't ever give him any moral or ethical values. Wait until he is 21 and let him determine his own. Give them choices without direction. Never teach him that every choice has a consequence. Never tell him he is wrong. He might develop a complex. This will condition him to believe that society is against him when he gets arrested for doing something wrong. Always pick up things that he leaves lying around, books, shoes, clothes, and so on. Do everything for him so that he will learn to push all everything for him so that he will learn to push all responsibility onto others. Let him read, watch, and hear anything he wants. Be careful what he feeds his body, but let him mind feed on garbage. In order to be popular with his peers, he must go along to get along. Quarrel frequently when he is present. This way he won't be surprised when things fall apart at home. Give him as much money as he wants. Never teach him respect for the value of money. Make sure he does not have things as tough as you did. Provide instant gratification for all sensual desires such as food, drinks, and comfort. Deprivation can cause frustration. Side with him against neighbors and teachers as they are projectile against him. When he gets into real trouble, excuse yourself by saying, I tried my best but could never do anything with him. Don't put your foot down because you leave discipline takes away freedom. Prefer remote control to parental control him in order to teach independence. Children learn what they like. If a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with praise, he learns to appreciate. If a child lives with hostility, he learns to fight. If a child lives with tolerance, he learns to be patient. If a child lives with ridicule, he learns to be shy. If a child lives with encouragement, he learns confidence. If a child lives with shame, he learns to feel guilty. If a child lives with approval, he learns to like himself. If a child lives with fairness, he learns justice. If a child lives with security, he lives to have faith. If a child lives with acceptance and friendship, he learns to find love in the world. What children get, they give to society. Building self confidence. A young couple used to leave their daughter at a daycare center every day before going to work. As a part of the company, the parents and child kissed each other's hand and then put the kisses on their pockets. All during the day, when the little girl got lonely, she would take out a kiss and put it on her cheek. This little routine made them feel together, even tough they were physically apart. What a wonderful thought! Education. Being ignorant is not shameful, but being unwilling to learn is. Role model can teach through example. Children who are taught the importance of integrity during their formative years generally don't lose it. It becomes a part of life, which is what we are looking for in any professional, whether a constructor, attorney, accountant, politicians, before a police officer, or judge. Integrity is a lot stronger than honesty. In fact, it is foundation of honesty. Youth are impressionable. When they see their mentors, such as parents, teachers, or political leaders, cheating with pride or bragging about dishonesty, such as stealing a towel in a hostel or cutlery from restaurant, the following happens. They are disappointed. They lose respect for their mentors. Constant exposure breeds acceptance in them. Poor role models. At school asked a little boy what his father did for a living. The boy replied, I'm not sure, but I guess he makes pens, pencil, light bulbs, toilet paper rolls because that is what he brings home every day in his lunchbox. Making unfair comparison. Fair comparisons are okay, but unfair comparisons make person feel inferior. Comparing ourselves to others basically brings out the competitive spirit to outperform the next person. People with high self-esteem don't compete with others. Instead, they improve their own performance. They compete against themselves. They compare their performance against their capabilities. Failure or success, a ripple effect. There is a lot of truth in the statement success breeds success and failure breeds failure. In sport, we often see that whenever the champion's morale is low and it doesn't get low at some point, the coach will never put him up against a good fighter because if he suffers one more defeat, his self esteem will go even lower. To bring his self-confidence back, the coach pits him and against a weaker opponent that the victory raised his self-esteem. Weaker, a slightly stronger opponent is next and that victory brings up level of confidence and on until the day comes when the champion is ready to face the ultimate challenge. With every success, self confidence goes up and it is easier to succeed the next time. For this reason, any good leader, be it a parent, teacher, or supervisor, would start a child off with easy tasks. With every successful completion, the child level of confidence and self-esteem goes up. Add to that positive stroke, encouragement, and this will start solidifying positive self esteem. Our responsibility is to help break the chain of failure and put ourselves and our children into the chain of success. Confusing failing with failure. Success is 99% failure. When people fail in every particular event, mood gets so disheartened that they started looking at themselves as failures, not realizing that failing does not equal failure. I might have failed, but I am not a failure. I may be fool, but I am not a fool. You are a failure only when you quit. Unrealistic expectations of perfection by parents, teachers, and supervisors. Suppose a child comes home with a report card with 5 as and won't be usually the first thing his parent will say is, why the B? Should the parents congratulate the child for the B and accept the lowest standard? Not at all. What the child is really looking for is acknowledgement and encouragement for the effort in getting a 5. As parents, after encouraging and praising the S can make clear their expectations of seeing all 6 as and offer help if needed. If we lower our standards, the chances are pretty good that the performance next time would drop to those expectations. Similarly, at work, an employee can do 100 things right and one thing wrong. Guess what the boss chooses to comment on? Acknowledge the positive, but don't lower your standards. Lack of discipline. What is discipline? Does discipline mean corrective action after a problem occurs or a wrong is done? It is imposition. Is it abuse? Does it take away freedom? The answer is none of the above. Discipline does not mean that a person takes a belt and beats up kids. That is madness. Discipline is loving firmness. It is direction. It is prevention before a problem arises. It is harnessing and channeling energy for great performance. Discipline is not something you do others, but something you do for those you care about. Discipline is an act of love. Sometimes you have to be unkind to be kind. Not all medicines are sweet, not all sugar is painless. But we have to use it. We need to learn from nature. We are all familiar with that big animal, the giraffe. A mama giraffe gives birth to a baby giraffe standing. All of a sudden, the baby falls on the hard surface on the cushion and mama's womb and sits on the ground. The first thing mama does is to get behind the baby and give him a hard kick. The baby gets up, but his legs are weak and wobbly, and the baby falls down. Mama goes behind again and gives him one more kick. The baby gets up but sits down again. Mama keeps kicking till the baby gets on its feet and starts moving. Why? Because mama knows that the only chance of survival for the baby is to get on its feet, otherwise, it will be eaten by predators. My question to you is this an act of love? You bet it is. Children brought up in a loving, disciplined environment and up respecting their parents more and become law abiding citizens. The reverse is just as true. If discipline were practiced in every home, juvenile delinquency would be reduced by 95%. Good parents are not afraid to enforce discipline because of momentary dislike by children. Discipline gives freedom. Our instinct is to do whatever we want regardless of the consequences. Allowing child to eat a box of chocolates could lead to sickness. On the other hand, the discipline of eating one or two pieces a day produces an enjoyable experience for a longer time. Freedom is not pursued by a full enjoyment of what is desired but controlling the desire. There is a misconception that freedom means doing your own things. One cannot always have what one desires. Many times it is not easy to conference the more profitable, enjoyable, and convenient to do otherwise. All we need to do is countless instances where lack of discipline has prevented people from succeeding, rather than the restraints of discipline pulling us down. Discipline is really taking us up. This is what discipline is all about. A boy was flying a kite with his father and asked him, "What kept the kite up?" Dad replied, "The string." The boy said, "Dad, it is the string that is holding the kite down." The father asked his son to watch as he broke the string. "Yes, what happened to the kite?" "It came down." Isn't that true in life? Sometimes the very things that we think are holding us down are the things that are helping us fly. That is what discipline is all about. I want to be free. We hear this phrase all the time. I want to be free. If you take the train off the track, it is free. But where does it go? If everyone could make their own traffic laws and drive on any side of the road, would you call that freedom or chaos? What is missing? Discipline. By observing the rules, we are actually gaining freedom. Discipline is loving firmness. I have asked this question to many participants in many seminars. If your child had a fever of 150 and did not want to go to the doctor, what would you do? Invariably, they said they would get medical help even if the child resisted. Why? Because it is in the best interest of the child. Parenting is not a popularity contest. A judge, when sentencing a man for robbery, asked if he had anything to say. The man replied, "Yes, Your Honor. Please sentence my parent to jail also." The judge asked, "Why?" The prisoner answered, "When I was a little boy, I stole a pencil from school. My parents knew about it but never said a word. Then I stole a pen. They knowingly ignored it. I continued to steal many other things from the school and the neighborhood till it became an obsession. They knew about it, yet they never said a word. If anyone belongs in jail with me, they do. He is right. Also, it does not absolve him of a responsibility. The question is, did the parent do their job right? Obviously not. Giving choices to children is important, but choices without direction result in disaster. Complete mental and physical preparation is the result of sacrifice and self discipline. Parents spend an average of 15 minutes a week in meaningfulness dialogue with their children. Children who are left to glean whatever values they can from peer and TV. Ask yourself, without discipline, can a caption can a captain run a ship effectively? Can an athlete win a game? Can a violinist play well at a concert? The answer is, of course, not. To each of the above questions, why then do we question today? Whether discipline is necessary in matter of personal conduct or to achieve any standard. It is absolutely necessary. Today the philosophy is, if it feels good, do it. I have heard parents innocently saying, I don't care what my kid do so long as it makes them happy. That is all that matters. I asked them, wouldn't you want to know what makes them happy? If beating people up on the street and taking their things away, what makes them happy? There is a word in the English language for them is called perversion. How and where we derive our happiness from is just as important as the happiness itself. It is a result of our values, discipline, and responsibility. We keep hearing, do what you like. The reverse is just as true, like what you do. Many times we need to do what ought to be done, whether we like it or not. A mother comes home after a long day's work, takes care of the household chores, looks after a baby, and goes to sleep exhausted. In the middle of the night, the baby cries. Does mama feel like getting up? No, but she gets up anyway. Why? For three reasons: love, duty, responsibility. We cannot live our lives by emotion alone. We need to add discipline no matter what age we are. Winning in life comes when we do not succumb to what we want to do, but do what ought to be done. It requires is discipline. Have you heard some parent playfully or affectionately calling their kids dummy and stupid? Labels stick for life. When the kids grow up, they will be sure to prove the parents right. Labels do not only stick for life but for generations. The caste system in India is a prime example of how labeling can hurt upper caste or lower caste. If it is not a label, what is it? Common put downs parents say to their kids, you are. You are dumb. You never do anything right. You will never amount to anything. Teaching the right values many times indolently and innocently, we end up teaching wrong values within our families and organization. For example, we tell our children to start July for us. Tell them I'm not here. The check is in the mail. We all look to our parents, teachers, and supervisors to teach us integrity. And many times we are disappointed. Practicing these pretty lies turns a person into a professional liar. When we teach others to lie for us, a day will come when they will lie to us too. For example, a secretary calls in sick when she really wants to go shopping. Maybe the boss gave her enough practice lying for him that she has become an expert in lying to him. Steps to building a positive self-esteem. Turn scars into stars. Read the life histories of people who have turned a negative into a positive, adversity into advantage, stumbling block into stepping stones. They refuse to let disappointment and failures pull them down. Some of the best music was composed by Beethoven. What was his handicap? He was deaf. Some of the best poetry written on nature was written by Milton. What was his handicap? He was blind. One of the greatest world leaders was US President Franklin D. Roosevelt. What was his handicap? He served from a wheelchair. The Wilma Rudolph story. Wilma Rudolph was born into a poor home, Tennessee. At age 4, she had double pneumonia, the scarlet fever, a deadly combination left her paralyzed with polio. She had to wear a brace and doctors said she would never put her foot in on the earth. But her mother encouraged her. She told Wilma that with God given ability, persistent and faith, she could do anything she wanted. Wilma said, I want to be the fastest woman on the track on this earth. At the age of 9, against the advice of the doctor, she removed the braces and took the first step the doctors had said she never would. At the age of 13, she entered her first race and came way last. And then she entered her second and third and fourth and came way last until a day came when she came in first. At the age of 15, she went to Tennessee State University, where she met a coach by the name of Ed Temple. She told him, I want to be fastest woman on the track on this earth. Temple said, with your spirit, nobody can stop you, and besides, I will help you. The day came when she was at Olympics, and at the Olympics you are matched with the best of the best. Wilma was matched against a woman named Jutta Heen, who had never been beaten. The first event was the 100-meter race. Wilma beat Jutta Heen and won her first gold medal. The second event was the 200-meter race. Wilma beat Jutta a second time and won her second gold medal. The third event was the 400-meter relay. She was racing against Jutta one more time. In the relay, the fastest person always runs the last lap, and they both adored their teams. The first three people ran and changed the baton easily. When it came to Wilma's turn, she dropped the baton. But Wilma saw Jutta shoot up at the other end. She picked up the baton, ran like a machine, beat Jutta third time, and won her third gold medal. It became history that a paralytic woman became the fastest woman on this earth at the 1960 Olympics. What a lesson to be learned from Wilma. It teaches that successful people do it in spite of, not in absence of problems. When we hear or read stories of people who have turned adversity into opportunity, doesn't it motivate us? If you regularly read biographies and autobiographies of such people, won't we stay motivated? Learn intelligence and grow ignorance. Education teaches us what we can do and also teach us what we cannot. I'm looking for a man. I'm looking for a lot of men with an infinite capacity for not knowing what cannot be done. Henry Ford gave this word the V8 engine. He did not have much formal education. In fact, he did not go to school beyond the age of 14. He was intelligent enough to know that a V8 engine would be of great value to his company, but he didn't know how to build it. So he asked all his highly educated or qualified people to build one according to them. V8 was impossible to build, but Henry Ford insisted on having his V8. A few months later, he asked his people if they had a V8 and they replied, "We know what can be done and we also know what cannot be done. The V8 is an impossibility." This went on for many months and still Henry Ford said, "I want my V8." And shortly thereafter, the same people who said it was impossible produced his V8 engine. Why? They let their imagination run beyond academic limitation. Education teaches us what can be done and sometimes also teaches us false limitations. The bumblebee. We need to learn from nature. According to scientists, the bumblebee's body is too heavy and its wingspan too small for it to be able to fly. But the bumblebee does not know that and it keeps flying. When you don't know your limitation, you go out and surprise yourself in hindsight. You wonder if you had any limitations to begin with. The only limitations a person has are those that are self imposed. Don't let educated put limitations on you. Do something for others who cannot repay you in cash or kind. Dr. Carl Manninger, a world renowned psychiatrist, was once asked, "What would you do advise someone if you knew that person was going to have a nervous breakdown?" The audience expected Dr. Manninger to advise consulting a professional, but he didn't. He said, "I would advise that person to go to the other side of town, find someone in need, and help that person. By doing that, we get out of our own way. A lot of times we get in our own way, don't we? Be a volunteer. It builds self worth, helping others, and you would expect others to help you. Give a feeling of gratification. The process of giving without having expectations or getting anything in return raises one's self esteem. A healthy personality has the need to only to get but also to give. Learn to give and receive compliments. Don't miss out on any opportunity to give sincere compliments. Remember the key word is sincerity. When others give you a compliment, accept it graciously and gracefully with two words: thank you. That is a sign of humility. Accept responsibility. We need to accept responsibility for our behavior and our actions and insulate ourselves from excuses. Don't be like the student who failed at just because he didn't like the teacher or the subject. Who is it hurting the most? We have to accept responsibility and stop blaming others. Then and only then will productivity and quality of life improve. Excuses make the people worse than the problem itself. We have responsibility to self, to family, to work, to society, to the environment. We can add to the greenery by planting trees, stopping soil erosion, and preserving natural beauty. We cannot live as if we have another earth we can move to. On a daily basis, we need to do something that makes this world a better place to live. We are custodians for the future generations. If we do not behave responsibly, how can future generations forgive us? If the average life expectancy of a person is 75 years, and if you are 40 years old, you have 365 days, 35 years to life. Ask yourself this question: what are you going to do with this time? When we accept our responsibility, we make ourselves more valuable. Practice discipline. Self discipline does not kill joy but builds it. You see people with talent and ability, and yet they are uncareless and guesswork. They are frustrated, and the same behavior pattern affects their business, their health, and their relationships with others. Set goals. Well defined goals give a person a sense of direction, a feeling of accomplishment when he reaches his goals. More important than goals is sense of purpose and vision. They give meaning and fulfillment to life. What we get upon achieving our goals is a lot of less important than what we become. It is the process of becoming that gives us a good feeling. That is what self-esteem is all about. In goal setting, we need to be realistic. Unrealistic goals remain accomplished, leading to poor self esteem, whereas realistic goals are encouraging, build high self esteem. Associate with people of high moral characters. Associate yourself with people of good quality. If you esteem your reputation, for it is better to be alone than to be in bad company. Test of friendship. Negative influences come in the form of peer pressure. People say, "Are not you my friend?" Remember, true friends never want to see their friends hurt. If I ever saw that a friend had one drink too many, I would put my foot down and not let him drive. I would rather lose the friendship than lose a friend. It is common to see people doing wrong things to get accepted, saying it is cool, not realizing they will be left cold. One start as peer pressure may be in reality a test of friendship. Where will they where will they be when you are in trouble? How far will they go to help you? And the biggest question is, if they don't have the character today, how will they have character tomorrow to help you? Associating with people of high moral character helps their self esteem. Peer pressure. When the desire to belong to the herd becomes stronger than the desire to stand up for what is right, it is evident that what is lacking is courage and character. Going along to get along is a safe path. Keep one's peer happy, and one does not risk being loved at. That is where people with high self esteem draws a line. That is what separates the man from the boys. Examples: school kids conform because they do not want to be loved at. Students don't give the answer because others will make fun of them. Factory workers keep performance low to keep peers happy. Moderation. Many people say moderation is okay. I try a little and quit. The question is, in moderation, it is really okay to cheat, to lie, to steal, to take drugs, to have illicit affairs? Some people frequently realize rational I can quit whenever I want. They don't realize that negative influences are more powerful than willpower. Become internally driven, not externally driven. One day, if someone gets up on the right side of the bed and calls me and says, "You are the greatest person on earth. You are doing the great job. And I want you to know I'm honored to call you as a friend. I know he's sincere. How does it make me feel? Great." But the next day, he gets up on the wrong side of the bed, picks up the phone, and says, "You rascal, you cheat, you crook. You are the biggest fraud in town." How does it make me feel? Terrible. So the first day when he says, "You are the greatest guy," I feel great. And the next day when he says, "You rascal," I feel terrible. Who is controlling my life? Obviously, he is. Is that the way I want to go through life? Not at all. That is being externally driven. I want to be internally driven. When he calls me and says, "I'm the greatest guy," it is good to hear those words. But even if it doesn't say those words, in my own estimation, I'm still a good human being. And the next day, when he rips me apart, while his word may intentionally sting, he can't bring me down. Because in many own estimation, I'm a good human being. When a person makes a statement like, "You make me angry," the focus of control is external. But if he says, "I'm angry," or "I choose to be angry," the focus is internal. No one can make you feel inferior without your permission. There's a story about an ancient Indian sage who was called ugly, named by a Pesarbi. The sage listened unperturbed till the man ran out of words. He asked the man, "If an offering is not accepted, who does it belong to?" The man replied, "It belongs to the person who offered it." The sage said, "I refuse to accept your offering," and walked away, leaving the man dazed. The sage was internally driven. So long as we blame outside sources, our miseries will continue and we will feel helpless. Unless we accept responsibility for our feelings and behavior, we cannot change. The first step is to ask, why did I get upset? Why am I angry? Why am I depressed? Then we start getting the clues to overcome Bam! Happiness is a result of positive self esteem. If you ask people what makes them happy, you will get all kinds of answers. Most of them would include material things, but that is not really true. Happiness comes from being and not having. One can have everything in life and yet not be happy. The reverse is also true. Happiness is general. Happiness is internal. Happiness is like a butterfly. If you run after it, it keeps flying away. If you stand still, it comes and sits on your shoulder. Develop a mindset that brings happiness. Bitterness is a sign of emotional failure. It paralyzes our capacity to do good. Set your own standards. Be honest to yourself. Compete against yourself. Do the following. Look for the positive in every person, in every situation. Resolve to be happy. Set your own standards judiciously. Develop an immunity to negative criticism. Learn to find pleasure in every little thing. Remember, all the time are not the same. UPS and downs are part of life. Make the best of every situation. Keep yourself constructively occupied. Help others less fortune than yourself. Learn to get over things. Don't brood. Forgive yourself and others. Don't hold guilt or bear grudges. Give yourself positive auto suggestions. Develop the habit of giving yourself positive self talk, auto suggestion. Alter your belief system by influencing your subconscious mind. Your behavior reflects your belief system. Hence, auto suggestions affect your behavior by influencing your belief system. It becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. Examples: I can handle it. I can do it. I'm good at math. I have a good memory. Our greatest strength can become our greatest weakness. Unstrengthened, unrestricted becomes a weakness. For example, in sales, good speaking ability is a strength. It is not uncommon to see salespeople with good speaking ability talk themselves into a sale, then talk too many and talk themselves right out of the sale. Their strength got them into it. However, overextended it become a weakness and they lose the sale. Listening is a strength. Overextended, however, it could mean that a person listens a lot but does not speak enough. It becomes a weakness. Our greatest weakness can become our greatest strength. Anger is a weakness. How can it be turned into a strength? One lady demonstrated by getting mad. MAD stands for Mothers Against Drunk Driving. This woman lost her child because of a drunk driver. She got so angry that she resolved that society should not tolerate this kind of irresponsible behavior. She organized people all over the United States to fight drunk driving. She and her association with thousands of members become a significant force and succeed in their pursuit to change legislation in Congress and various state legislatures. This is an example of turning a negative emotion like anger into a strength by doing positive. She converted her anger into a resolution. Have patience. Patience creates confidence, decisiveness, and a rational outlook which eventually leads to success. A lot of times we hear people saying that one exposure to a positive or a negative material does not have many impact. That is not true. The difference may not be visible, but some things is happen. In China, there is a bamboo tree that is planted, watered, and fertilized for the first 4 years, and nothing happens. There is no visible sign of growth. But sometime during the fifth year, the bamboo tree grows about 90 feet in 60 weeks. The question is, did the bamboo tree grow in 6 weeks or did it take 5 years to grow? If the bamboo had not received water and fertilizer during the 4 years when there was no visible sign of growth, would the plant have flourished? No. The bamboo tree would have died. The lesson is clear. Have patience and faith and keep doing the right thing. Even though the result may not be visible, something has happened. Caution. We must stay disguised between patience and laziness. Sometimes a person may be sheer lazy but might think that they are being patient. A good beginning makes a good ending. Take inventory, make a list of your own strength and weakness. Successful people realize their limitation but build on their strength. Unless we know these things, how can we build on them? Focus on what you want to do and be rather than what you don't. Will take my child by the hand. He starts school today. It is all going to be strange and now to him for a while, and I wish you would sort of treat him gently. You see, up to know he has been king of the roost. He has been the boss of backyard. I have always been around to repair his wound, and I have always been handy to soothe his feelings. But now things are going to be different. This morning he is going to walk down the front steps, wave his hands, and start on a great adventure that probably will include wars and tragedy and sorrow. To live in this world will require faith and love and courage. So what I wish you would sort of take him by his young hand and teach him the things he will have to know. Teach him, but gently if you can. He will have to learn. I know that all people are not just that all men and women are not true. Teach him that for every scoundrel there is a hero, that for every enemy there is a friend. Let him learn early that the bullies are the easiest people to lick. Teach him the wonder of books. Give him quick time to ponder the internal mystery of birds in the sky, bees in the sun, and flowers in the green hill. Teach him that it is a far more honorable to fail than to cheat. Teach him to have faith in his own ideas, even if everyone tells him they are wrong. Try to give my son the strength not to follow the crowd when everyone else is getting on the bandwagon. Teach him to listen to others, but to filter all he hears on a screen of truth and to take only the good that comes through. Teach him never to put a price tag on his heart and soul. Teach him to close his ears on the howling mob and to stand and find if he thinks he is right. Teach him gently, well, but do not coddle him, because all the taste of fire makes fine steel. This is a big order world, but see what you can do. He is such a nice son. So this is all for today. Thanks for joining.